that. It's recording. How did that happen? It's recording and we didn't even touch it.
I guess it's time.
We're meant to talk. We're meant to do this. Okay, so here we are. We are road tripping. Rene is driving, and I'm operating the video camera. And we wanted to do this video to talk about the why. Why Costa Rica? What was the deal? And so I wanted to talk about what I actually experienced when I was there back in April. So there is something unbelievably different about being in Costa Rica, and I've done quite a bit of traveling. And I don't know what it was, but I think it's whatever it is that contributes to the blue zone. Do you know what the blue zone is? Okay, so the blue zone is, there are 5 areas in the world. There's Costa Rica, there's a part of Greece, a part of Japan, a part of California, and I forget where the fifth one is. Anyways, if you're watching this, Google the blue zone. And so Costa Rica is one of these 5 areas in the world. It's part of the blue zone, and it's specifically the Nicoya Peninsula, which is I would say like 100 kilometers from where I was. So even though I wasn't technically totally in the blue zone, that spillover in that 100 kilometers is going to have an effect. But what it is it's a part of the world where more people live to be over 100 with the best health. And so they attribute it to lifestyle, sleep habits, nutrition, stress levels, family involvement, spirituality, and there's something magical about that combination that was palpable. Absolutely, you could feel it in your bones. So when I arrived, it was like a release and a presence all at the same time. So letting go of these layers. So in Canada, when it's minus 50, you have to go outside and you have to protect yourself from the dangers of being out there in minus 50. You've got your long johns, your t-shirt, your sweater, your snow pants, your jacket, your hats, your mitts, your toque. You've got all of these layers. And you go out there and you shovel your snow, or you walk your dog, well, maybe not minus 50, but anyways, you go out there with all of these layers of protection, right? And then when you come back into your home, you don't continue to wear them because it's an environment that doesn't require those layers. And I didn't realize until I actually had been there for, I don't know, maybe 12 hours. I didn't realize how many layers I had been carrying until I got to the point where I was inside the house and needed to start taking these layers off because I didn't need them anymore. I didn't need these tightness in my muscles. I didn't need to hold my breath. I didn't need to be on this constant vigilant looking over my shoulder, where's the next threat, right? And so one of the things that I had forgotten about is your nervous system will relax when birds are chirping, right?
Yeah.
Because the birds know that there are no predatory threats and it's safe to relax. And so then your amygdala and all of those parts of your brain that are in charge of keeping you safe can have the afternoon off. Like, you know what? There's no bad guys coming. You can relax. And we're going to let the birds be in charge of making sure there's no threats. And as long as the birds are chirping, you know there's no predators. And so after having been there for about 12 hours, from the time I landed and we drove down to the resort, and we went from the northern part of Costa Rica, which is very dry, and we went all the way down the coastline to the rainforest, and we watched the topography change as we drove. And by the time I got there and I was amongst these broadleaf plants and it was green and there was a humidity and all of that, my body realized, oh, it is actually safe for me to relax. And I got out of the truck actually, and I stood there in the parking lot and my body just went, and I didn't realize how much I'd been holding it until I wasn't having to anymore. And over that next week, the ability to just sit there and breathe, and I kid you not, like commune with the plants. Like I have a video from my post where it shows Anu and I sitting there, and we were having a conversation, and this broadleaf plant lifted up and it waved, and then it went back down again, and then 3 or 4 feet over there was another plant with like a little stick, and it got up and it waved. And I looked at her and I said, are you kidding me? Like, is this actually happening? What is going on here? And I walked over to the plants to see if there was like a critter moving around in there that was causing the leaf to move, because there wasn't a breath of wind. So what was causing this plant to move? And what was causing the other plant to respond in unison, right? And this happened several times, and we ended up calling it the leaf of truth. And it was like we were communicating with the plants. And I say this, and some people might think, oh gosh, you are ready to be committed if you think you are talking to plants. But they are living creatures, and they have energy. And the energy there was so different than anywhere I've felt. And my body responded to it in just such a way. Anyways, so we're sitting there, and we're literally communicating with these plants. Like, I'm so excited to go back and see these plants again and say, okay, what are you going to tell me now? What are you going to tell me now? And like, literally, I wasn't on mushrooms or anything like that. It was just like pure being with this jungle energy. And when we were sitting there, and we just had like this dry thunder and lightning storm, and you could hear Mother Nature, and the food being so good, and like real food, not food-like substance that comes in a box that you assemble with chemicals and all that.
Live food.
Yeah, live food, nourishing food. And being supported by the staff and just showing up. Like waking up and having this moment of just, I can lay here and I can hear the jungle noises and I can hear the birds. And after we had gone on one of the excursions, so we went to this nature preserve, and we were able to identify some of the bird sounds. Mm-hmm. And then when we came back to the resort, we were sitting there, and I said to one of the other guests that was there, I said, oh, that's the sound of the toucan. I said, there's a toucan nearby. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, hear that? That noise? That noise? That noise? That's a toucan. And he's like, how do you know that? I said, well, because I just learned about it. And so I stood there and I listened, and I felt a bit like a bat. Like I was doing this echolocation to try and narrow down the tree of where this bird was. And then when I was confident, okay, this bird is in this slice of the jungle, and I just looked up into the canopy and I look, listened to, oh, there it is, boom, and I got a picture of him. And I showed this guy, and he's like, how did you do that? I'm like, it's just this oneness that happens. And so waking up and hearing these bird songs and bird chirps, and then just having no stress.
Yeah, it really regulates your nervous system.
Total regulation. Yeah. Total smoothing, back to baseline, back to the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, what we didn't even realize we needed.
Don't even know you need it. Yep. And then going down and having this food that was just so amazing. Like, I have this heart condition, right? And for years, I have been afraid of my body. Afraid of getting my heartbeat too fast because of the defibrillator. I don't want it to shock me. And, you know, having all of the stress of the PTSD of being on the ambulance and having that anxiety heartbeat, that fast heartbeat, and then having the medical PTSD of being afraid of my own body, all of that fear of my body disappeared when I was there. And I was down at the yoga hut, and I needed to be ready for this sound bath that I was going to have. And I thought, ooh, I should probably pee first. And I literally ran up the hill, went to the bathroom, ran back down the hill, and never once did I think about whether or not it was going to be an issue for my body.
Wow. So you didn't have to be on alert?
No alerts, no palpitations, no worried about it. In fact, I had to be very conscious daily to make sure I took my pills, because I don't want to be silly about these things, right? I don't know what's happening. But the other interesting thing was, and of course I can't make this promise for everybody, but the first night I got there, I took my glasses off to go to bed and didn't put my glasses on again until the day I was packing to leave. And I went, oh shit, I wear glasses. And I'd forgotten, and I didn't need glasses the whole time I was there. And I've been home nearly 3 months now. I haven't worn my glasses since I got back.
Wow.
And I'm just now starting to think, that's a little fuzzy in the distance. So I'll be super excited to see if when I go back, what it does for my eyes and my body's healing while I'm there.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So then what was super interesting as well was when I came back, I had my son with me because I had taken him there and dropped him off at a friend's place. And when we came back, he said to me, "Mom, are you hyperstimulated?" And I said, "Yep." He says, "Me too." And he's 13. Like, he's got super stimulation with the different video games and stuff he plays. Like, stimulation is never an issue for him. And it wasn't until I came back to Calgary and I could feel
You were back on
the
alert.
layers, high alert. Like, it was right before the election. There's all this stress that people have about that. There's stress about inflation. There's stress about, their job, the insecurity. They don't have enough money. There's this, it was overwhelming. Yeah. It was very dysregulating because I hadn't expected it. I hadn't prepared for it. I had no idea that it was going to happen because I didn't know how many layers I was going to peel back.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing at this retreat is preparing people. How do you bring this calm back to your life?
Right. Integrate it.
How do you integrate it? Because that is the key to all of this healing that we're talking about and we're learning about and we're doing, whether it's counseling or it's Reiki or it's tapping or it's craniosacral or spinal flow or meditation. It doesn't matter. All of these different things that people do for their healing is all well and good,
But how do you
and you have to integrate it. It has to be brought into your life on a daily basis, or at least regular basis, whether it's daily or weekly, but it has to be part of your new normal.
Well, and what you learn there is like a practice, your practice, and then you can bring that home and do a daily practice.
Yes. Yep.
Because you have the tools.
Yep. And being able to set yourself up for success is so important, because without that, what is the point of going? Right? You either want to make changes so that it can be long-lasting, integrated into your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So investing in yourself literally doesn't only benefit you, but it'll ripple out to all the people we interact with.
Yeah. Well, the number of people that have said to me, "You're different. Now that you're back, you're different."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I feel different.
I sense that too.
I feel calmer. I feel more confident. I feel way more comfortable setting boundaries and choosing, what do I want? Do I want this in my life today? Do I not want this in my life today? Do I want this in my life at all?
Right.
And it's very difficult sometimes to say no. And being able to say,
Yes.
saying no means I can say yes to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No to that means yes to this.
Yeah. And if it's not your heck yeah, it's a hell no.
That's
right?
correct. That was an expression I heard a few months ago, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
And so I knew that going back to Costa Rica on a semi-regular or regular every couple of 3 months basis, depending on like the rains and that sort of thing there, is going to need to be a part of my new normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was speaking with Monica, who owns the resort, and we were brainstorming about how to create this retreat, it's like, I want to do this every 3 months.
Which I think is really awesome, because quite a few people that we've talked to, this wasn't a long enough notice.
Yes.
But they're already signed up for the next one.
Yeah, it was too short notice.
Yeah.
And people have been very flexible about that, because I've said, okay, so how am I going to work into the fact that we're going at the end of July, so that means August, September, October, that's the height of rain season there.
Right.
So how do I feel about being there in the height of rain season? I don't know. I'll be interested to see how it goes with the rain that we have now. But some people have said, you know what? I would be okay with the height of rain season, because it's so different than what I live in now.
Right. A cleansing.
Right? Lots of people who live in warm countries or warm places want to go to the cold winter so they can go skiing. They want that contrast. Right? So just because some people might say, "Ooh, it's raining." Well, are you made of sugar? Are you going to melt? No. But part of that cleansing comes from being in the nature, being with the water, being with the ground, being with the fire, being with the wind, all of the elements. So will there be one at the end of October? The date is still kind of up in the air. Because do I want to maybe wait until it's like a little bit less rainy? I don't know. I'll know more after this retreat, and that's really only 3 weeks from now.
Right.
So having that information will give me the flexibility to say to these people, like you said, this one was too short notice, but they want to plan for the next one, whether it's raining or it's part of their Christmas holidays or their spring renewal. That part to me is just a small detail that'll get worked out.
Well, and the good news is there will be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This
really
is
good.
the beginning of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And it's funny because somebody else said, oh, I want to come on this because it means I'm going to be able to spend more time with you. And that felt good. But I'm like, okay, so they don't want to come and be on a vacation with me. They just want to be able to talk for longer than like a 1 hour session, 1 hour appointment that they come to. They want to share a meal so we can have these conversations and not have it necessarily like a formal therapy session, but like, I just want to spend time with you because you know about some of these things that I don't know about yet, and I want to learn more. And I love having these conversations. Like, part of my Reiki training group here in Medicine Hat is going to be meeting for Reiki roundtables. So we can actually just talk about energy, talk about healing, talk about empowerment, talk about these things that we need to do so we can integrate. How do we do that? Right? And how cool is it to sit there having a freshly peeled mango, right? Listening to the toucan, watching the creek flow by, and have that peace inside your body. I'm so excited.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
So if you can't make this one,
stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
There'll be some more posts out about that.
Well, and watch for some lives, maybe.
Oh yeah, we'll be doing some videos.
Yeah.
We'll be doing some videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, so there you have it, people. There's the live and impromptu explanation of why did I go, why am I going back, and a little bit about why you should maybe consider coming with us. Because right now there's 4 spots left, and maybe this is the message. Maybe this is the call to action that you've been waiting to hear, the signal from Spirit to say, you know what? When is it my turn? Maybe your turn is right now. Make yourself a priority. And if not, if that's not just something that you can do, you know what? That's just the way life is sometimes. And maybe your time is the next one. But who's to say? That's not up to me. That's up to you.
Well, if you're a planner like me, you put a little money away each time.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't become
a burden.
Yeah.
Yeah. It becomes a freedom.
I get to.
Yeah, it's a get to, not a have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any questions, shoot me a message. TheEnergyMedicineClinic@gmail.com. Bye.